Barnaby pulls Bondbreaker up and they continue in the direction the soldier came from, assuming it to be toward the inner fortress courtyard. The crackling grows louder, but it sounds far away, like the clouds of blue are bouncing the sound off their gaseous walls. There, in front of them, stands a figure now, a giant. It towers over them, standing as tall as the guard towers at the bottleneck. The beast, with its many white eyes, slides into view toward them. The sound of moving its enormous body through the muddy dirt is bested only by the sorrowful wailing coming from the cracks at what appears to be the mouth of the monster. It looked to be an enormous crustacean abomination, with bodies of the soldiers and shrimp alike stuck to its black, spiny tendrils and wrapped in dark purple tentacles that tore at the living caught prey. The shell of the crustacean is broken and jagged, and layers of carapace have formed atop each other. Through the slit between the layers hangs the tendrils, and through the cracks and breaks come the tentacles. The creature's ribbed, shelled carapace opens at the front to unleash a putrid gas that leaks from its maw, and black tendrils fall out like discarded lunch. The already rancid fish smell turns to one of utter rot of flesh and rot of waste. It has rows upon rows of bone spikes leading into the black abyss that is its body. It has white fins attached to two long shelled protrusions at the front of its triangular head, and with the long talons at the edges of the fins, it drags its oversized tail, whose legs either aid in movement or twist and break off, and it leaves the broken legs behind like fallen petals from a rotten, festering flower, giving no sign of discomfort. The rocks along the ground of the fort tremble as the beast comes closer. The pearl-white eyes on the front of the monster seem plastered on by the opaque liquid that drips from some indiscernible location on the beast. Barnaby and Bondbreaker are stunned. They stand staring in awe at the horror. It's as if this beast was supposed to be an animal of some kind. The abomination lets out a particular moan, sounding quite human, under a rolling growl from the lion's head of a chimera. It rears upward and suddenly lunges at Bondbreaker, who uses his mastery over sorcery to teleport around to the side of the creature. Its enormous tail slides along the ground and the creature begins curling into a crescent. Bondbreaker is able to teleport away once again just before he would have been impaled on the jagged shell along the tail. Barnaby fires at the beast, but it has no obvious effect, and the beast slams the ground with its fins. It propels itself upward with impossible strength for such thin protrusions, and as it opens its maw to devour Barnaby, Bondbreaker slings a blast of telekinesis into the side of the crustacean, sending it into several field tents and racks of weapons. The sounds near this monster are enhanced, and added sounds of clutter, cracking of wood, and smashing of weapons causes both men to grasp their ears in pain. Bondbreaker wastes no time and slings a small fireball into kegs positioned near the tents. They're full of gunpowder for the rifles and quickly explode into a shower of bright yellow and orange sparks that hungrily consume the tents. The dust and the bellowing clouds conceal the contact point, but the sorrowful moans never cease as the tongues of flame lick at the sky and the black smoke rises into the air. The giant slides from the fire, its back ablaze in flame. Bondbreaker focuses and blasts the creature with another burst of telekinesis, and it tumbles over like a wagon flicked by a boulder, but then quickly flips itself with the momentum, and the flames are snuffed out by the mud now along its back. The monster opens its mouth and moans as a shower of black, sharpened tendrils and bone teeth shoot out. Bondbreaker's eyes go wide as he teleports again and again, trying to stay out of the way of the shower. Bondbreaker passes Barnaby and yells for him to move, but Barnaby, running away, unfortunately is impaled 3 times. The spikes hit their target. One pierces his calf, another tears into his shoulder. The last, a smaller, shorter one, jams itself right into his lower back, sliding in sideways as he spins and falls to the ground screaming in pain. Bondbreaker slings another blast at the beast, but it rolls with unseen virility again and spits the black tendrils at Bondbreaker. Some of them flop to the ground or stick into it, but most charge toward their target. Bondbreaker throws another blast and blocks the tendrils. He is now fatigued and crouched in sweat. Barnaby lays wailing on the ground. A pool of blood is forming under him. "God-damned monster!" yells Bondbreaker as he downs a green potion, and he begins trembling violently. His entire body shakes ferociously and continuously. His heart roars and his mind screams as he darts out of the beast's path. He slides almost 10 feet as he changes direction and darts toward Barnaby. He times his slide and stops next to Barnaby, lifting him over his back. He darts forward until he meets a stone wall. He turns left, hoping to find the hallways. The beast smashes into the rock wall and craters it just as Bondbreaker leaves. Through the murk, he sees it, a wood-lined shaft leading into the ground. He speeds down the stairs with Barnaby letting out weak sounds with every descent of a step. He charges through a hallway full with inky fingers of the fog as the beast, persistent and vicious, gives chase by smashing and cracking the wood, which gouges deep into its sides and scratches its shell. It smashes the roof and shatters the walls behind. With every wooden beam holding the ceiling up that Bondbreaker must dart around, with every leftover stack of wood and tools he must avoid, the beast draws closer by simply smashing through them. The monster opens its mouth and blasts the blackened tendrils again. "Move!" yells Barnaby. Bondbreaker darts to the left and leaps over some tools as the tendrils skewer the walls and wooden beams. The ceiling is trembling and parts of it are falling now. Bondbreaker darts through the murky ink of the gas and speeds through the barely lit tunnels. He slides to a stop as he comes into a large hall. An enormous round room surrounds them. The murk is left in the halls behind them, and the sounds of crumbling and cracking erupt from behind. "Barnaby!" yells a soldier from the other end of the hall. They rush over as fast as they can. There are some pawns and soldiers that have survived. Bondbreaker gives Barnaby over to the 2 soldiers. They are all battered and bloody and holding deep wounds, and one of them lets go of a wound to his abdomen, and blood squirts out. But he holds Barnaby nonetheless. The soldier's eyes meet Bondbreaker's, and Bondbreaker decides not to speak of it as the soldier shakes his head. What the hell are those? The other soldier suddenly stops speaking when they see it. The monster. Still. It is tunneling through the crumbling rocks. It's busting and breaking the wall of the round hall and causing the ceiling to crack open and fall apart. Get them out of here now, yells Bondbreaker, still vibrating from the potion. The soldiers turn without hesitation, and Barnaby protests as they escort him and the others away through the halls and toward the frontier. Bondbreaker, yells Barnaby. As Bondbreaker looks back, Barnaby's rifle lands at his feet with a pack of ammunition. He equips the rifle and ammo, and as the beast tears into the hall, the bodies attached to its tendrils fall off. Some of them are still alive. The small creatures that accompanied it rush through the hall and surround Bondbreaker, but they will only go where the murky fog is. The monsters rush at him. He dodges past two of them. They leap at him, but he blasts the third one into pieces with the rifle. He uses the bayonet to skewer another and shoots through it and into another that comes. The abomination rushes forward and launches itself toward him. Bondbreaker reloads with impressive speed and shoots at the beast, but its hardened shell blocks any projectile. He speeds away from the creature as its body slams a crater into the ground near him. He slides to a stop. One of the smaller creatures leaps at him and scratches and bites and kicks. He struggles to push the beast off his chest and is held long enough for the giant to skewer his leg with a tendril. Bondbreaker stabs the monster on his chest and pushes it away with the rifle still stuck in. He switches back to the spell tome and slings the fireball at the tendril. It burns away, but several more come anyway, stabbing, slashing, and wrapping around his legs. His screams echo through the hall, but he still manages to shoot a blast of energy into the ceiling above the exit at the other end, sealing his doom, and hopefully this room with the creature in it. The beast is upon him now, standing high in the air. The bottom of the hideous monster opens, and a shower of odd saliva falls from it. It is a gaping maw of darkness inside. Bondbreaker sees nothing but the black darkness, for an all too familiar pain shoots through his body, and the swirling storm of the rift fills his vision. He is dead or dying. Regardless, without an arisen to pull him from the rift, he will never return to the real world again.